What are lightsabers made out of? So, most lightsabers that are made for collecting or dueling purposes are made out of metal. And most of the lightsabers made out of metal are made out of aluminum. So, that's probably one of the most common lightsaber metals out there. And that's for a combination of reasons. So, aluminum is relatively inexpensive, at least in terms of metals. So, relatively affordable, relatively durable, and lightweight. So, kind of when you combine all those three, that's probably why it's one of the common metals. Now, lightsabers will be made out of other metals as well. Sometimes they'll be made out of steel, which is very heavy and not really practical to duel with, or not as practical, and pretty heavy to wear on your belt as well. And a lot of lightsabers will have other metals incorporated into them somewhere. So like copper, brass, nickel, sometimes different elements within the saber will be made out of those materials. And, other materials as well. Those are just sort of some that come to mind. Okay, another common material that lightsabers used to be made out of more commonly was PVC. So when Ultra Sabers, in the early days of Ultra Sabers, they produced some different PVC hilts. Now all of their hilts are aluminum, or most of them are aluminum. I think there's some with nickel in them, but at any rate, you do still have some people selling PVC lightsaber hilts, so they're still out there. AC Lightsabers out of Malaysia, for example, sells many PVC lightsaber hilts, so it's still a pretty big thing. Okay, PLA is another material that some lightsabers will be made out of, and that's due to kind of the growing popularity of 3D printing. So a lot of 3D printers will use PLA. That's a type of plastic. That's the filament that the printers will use. So a lot of people are printing out lightsabers and lightsaber parts now. Now, usually these are more for display purposes or for cosplay, but you'll see a lot of these 3D printed lightsabers, like on Etsy, for example, and there are some nice designs on Thingiverse for different 3D printed lightsabers too. So that's another common material. Okay, now resin. Sometimes you will see resin lightsabers. Some of the kind of official prop replicas have been made out of resin, so that, it will turn up sometimes. And finally, carbon fiber. So this is one of the interesting ones. There's a newer company this year called Bendu Armory that's been making some carbon fiber lightsabers, and that's a pretty new thing, kind of a new material to make lightsabers out of. So those are some common lightsaber materials. What do you think of all of these materials? Do you have a favorite? What are some pros and cons of all of these different materials? Feel free to comment below.